Alright, so we are back for another video, and today we have the KZ EDX Pro. We have another KZ in our midst today, and this is actually more expensive compared to your EDX. Almost 2 times the price of your EDX. So we're gonna find out why this is 2 times the price. What did they change in the tuning, and also does this compete with the VK4? And maybe the ADC as well in the overall tuning. Of course, we're gonna find out in this video. Looking at the box itself, it's your typical IEM box overall. Actually, this might be a KZ week today, guys, because I actually do have the ZX as well. I already unboxed it, and I'm doing the review now. And this is the EDX Pro, and this is your unboxing experience. This is what you are gonna get in the box. Actually, the packaging is a bit different compared to your EDC. This is your more typical KZ packaging, but actually in the top it's a bit smaller there. So first time that I've seen something like that from a KZ. So you are getting that new KZ cable than what I have seen with the other KZs here in the channel, the newer KZs. So you're getting some tips as well, and your typical silicone tips here, and taking a look at the lobes itself. So yeah, actually pretty nice looking for me overall. I would say though, I kind of prefer the EDC look over this, but that is not that bad. So you have that EDX see-through look that I do like, and you're getting that silver trims at the side, and it's circle in design as well. So it's still quite a looker for me for sure. It's your typical KZ type of design, but yeah, for me personally, I do like a more minimalist design over this, but not so bad overall. And you're getting removable cables as well. So in terms of the insertion to the ear, so it's actually pretty standard for a KZ. So this might isolate for us nicely. So let's try to put this on the ear. So we are now wearing it on the ear, and it's your typical KZ shape. So if you have worn any KZ before, you will feel right at home with this. So it does isolate pretty good here. Also the comfort pretty good because it's quite breathable, and also the stability really stable here overall. So this won't fall off your ear even if you move around. Actually, I do like to talk about the cable as well. So the cable, yeah, I haven't talked about it more in the previous videos, but I do think it's a little bit more minimalist in the design. So actually, for non-enthusiasts, this might be a bit better for them because, or for first-time buyers as well. So this might be better because, yeah, this is a bit less loud to look at. So if you go outside, this will be a bit less discreet of a look on your ear, and that might be an advantage. But of course, yes, pros and cons. I do think enthusiasts will still upgrade their cable to maybe 8-core ones. But yeah, I think for some usages, this might be a bit better. Especially maybe if you're gonna use it maybe as a daily beater, this might be good because of that. Maybe easier to clean cables here. So let's try to listen to some tracks, and we're gonna use the Cavalli Tube Hybrid for our listen today. So we are now listening to some Chunky by Bruno Mars. Yeah, from the get-go, this is definitely more bassy compared to your EDX. This is also more fun of a listen as well. So the bass here is maybe 3 dB, 4 dB more elevated than the EDX. So the signature here is definitely a U type of signature to the ear. So maybe a slight bass elevated U type of shape to the ear, but I would say not that far. And yeah, this is very lively to listen to, very engaging to listen to. So in that price range, definitely more engaging compared to the EDX. I would say more lively compared to the VK4 as well. So this reminds me a lot of a TFZ kind of sound to the ear. So this reminds me a lot of maybe a TFZ Live 3, that kind of listen. So very engaging of a listen, and yeah, fun type of listen to the ear. So let's try to listen to some I Shot the Sheriff by Eric Clapton. So looking at the top end, looking at the highs, it's definitely extended on top. This is your maybe KZ type of extension on top, but say not overly done here. So this does remind me of maybe a CCA, type of 12K and also 8K. So you do still have it. You still have that extension on top, but this is not overly extended on top here. So actually compared to the EDC, the highs here, I would say the issue that I have with the EDC is now fixed with the EDX Pro here. So this is not dark to listen to for me. So for KZ fans, for me, you will feel right at home with this. Actually, the highs here maybe reminds me of the CCA CSNs in a way. So this is not gonna be your overly extended 12K, overly elevated 12K. So the 12K here is a bit more controlled compared to your usual KZs. So the body on top, still not the best bodied cymbals, but pretty good. Not the most splashy cymbals that I've listened to, but still this won't be your super accurate body in the cymbals here, but not that bad. So this is not a deal breaker now for me compared to maybe other KZs. So not that bad overall. Again, maybe it reminds me of the MT1 as well in the top end, but maybe the EDX Pro is a bit more lively, a bit more revealing compared to to the MT1 in the top end region here. So the highs here, I quite like the highs. Overall, I think the tuning is pretty much where I want it to be. If not, maybe a bit more body in the cymbals, but not that bad. Going to the mids, so the vocals for me, yes, it's recessed in the mix. This is a U type of shape to the ear, so maybe 2, 3, 4 dB more recessed than what I would like, but I would say still not that bad in the presentation, so I can still hear the vocals quite fine. It's a bright vocal presentation as well, so it's not that muffled in the mix. It pushes through the mix easily. Like for example, here in Eric Clapton's vocals, I can hear Eric Clapton's vocals pretty easily here. Let's try some September, Earth, Wind, and Fire. In terms of the vocals, this is not an overly smooth or overly clean vocal as well. It's right in the middle. So it has ample body for me in the cymbals, but still has a bit of separation here and there, so it's kind of like in the middle in the vocal presentation. So here, the male vocals in September, Earth, Wind, and Fire, I'm kind of liking the presentation. Again, not the thickest presentation, but not that bad, and that's quite clear in the mix as well. So I would say yes, clear vocal presentation here, and not muffled sounding for me. Not veiled sounding. So compared to the ADC, where I found it to have too much darkness for me of a listen, here it's a bit more controlled. It was the shoutiness as well, not that bad as well. So more tame compared to your other KZs here. So that's quite cool. Maybe still for some people, if you listen to a long listening session, they still might have some fatigue, but yeah, not that much shoutiness for me. And also on top as well, no sibilance for me inside, so that's nice. So maybe that's one advantage of having a full dynamic tri-variable KZ here. So the presentation is not that aggressive to listen to. Let's try some Hard Times, Paramore, some female vocals. So yeah, for both male and female vocals, the vocals are recessed in the mix. So a lot of similarities in the overall presentation. But again, the vocal presentation is quite clear in the mix. So not that veiled in the mix to listen to. So yeah, pretty good for vocal tracks here, I'd say. So let's try some pop tracks, Into You by Ariana Grande. So look at the bass region. So again, this may be a slightly more bassy U type of shape, but the bass here is really ample in the mix. So maybe for bass heads, this might slightly pass for you guys because the bass is quite prominent in the mix and also big in the mix as well. I would say this is more in the boomy side of presentation, but this is not an overly boomy pair. So this is not a blonde kind of pair for me. So the blonde will still be more boomy, bigger in the mix. It's a slightly more toned down version of that. Again, maybe a TFZ kind of bass would be the better description here. So it has a really big impact in the mix, really big in the mix as well. So if you listen to it, this will be a lot bigger compared to your EDXs. And here in Into You, this expects to have really good bass in the mix because it's a pop track and it resolves it nicely. So in this is the detail retrieval, being a dynamic driver, I'm not the best here. Yeah, small micro detail, but this won't be your detail monsters. Your BAs will still be better in this one. Soundstage, above average, not the biggest that I've listened to. And also separation as well. I would say even if this is not the most smooth, type of IEM, your BA counterparts will still have better separation compared to this one. Alright, so looking at the signatures, yeah, you're definitely getting that, I would say very safe kind of KZ signature. So this kind of signature reminds me of the CSNs or maybe the TFZ Live 3s, something like that. So definitely V-shaped kind of sound to the ear, but not that much elevated. 12K, pretty balanced. 5K and 12K here at the bottom as well. So you have that bass elevation, but not that much mid bass elevation here. So yeah, I would say for a V-shaped sound, this is pretty good. This is what I'm expecting for a 2021 kind of signature. So not that much weird peaks here and there. Pretty level into the overall signature here. So from the bass region, you're getting that recession to around 1K for your valley, for your V-shaped, and that's pretty smooth in the recession as well. And from the bass region, you're getting that maybe small rise to around 2K, but still this is your valley for your V-shape. And then after that, it goes up to around 3K, a slight elevation there. And then after that, it goes up to around 5K, which forms your first peak for your double horns at the top. And then after that, it goes down to around 8K. And then after that, it goes up to around 12K. And as you guys can see, the 12K and the 5K is pretty level in the mix here. So it reminds me a lot of the CSNs. All right, so now let's check it versus the CSNs. And if you look at the CSNs, so actually the CSNs is less bassy compared to your EDX Pro, and also in the middle as well, you're getting that small bump in the middle. But actually, if you look at the top end, so they both have some similarities with the 5K, but in the CSNs, you're getting less 12K getting more 10K in the CSNs, but as you guys can see, the top end is not super elevated in the treble region, so it's pretty level there. So but yeah, you have some similarities in the trend here overall, but your CSNs will be less bassy. So the sub bass region is maybe around 5 dB less than your EDX Pro, and also on top as well, your treble will have maybe 2 dB more elevated treble there in that regard. So your CSNs will be a slightly more bright hue compared to your EDX Pros. But yeah, both of them doesn't have that enormous peaks compared to your previous KZs. So compared to the CKX here, which is a $70 pair, in the bass region, you're getting maybe 5 dB less bassy in the CKX. And also on top as well, you're getting very similar in terms of the overall trend here, but your top end will still be slightly more elevated in the CKX. But as you guys can see here, they're not that far off from each other. So they both have some similarities in the trend. If not, they have similarities in the 12K region, and you're getting that similarities in the 5K, 6K region here. So in the CKX, your peak there is around 6K. But in the EDX Pro, you're getting that 5K peak. So actually surprising that you have a lot of similarities in the graph. And you have maybe $50, $60, difference in price here. So looking at the TRN MT1, which I think will be the bigger competitor of this because they have some similarities in the tuning. Your TRN MT1s will have more brightness on top. So the top end is maybe 5 dB more elevated compared to the EDX Pro, and your bottom as well is maybe 5 dB less compared to your EDX Pro. So your MT1 will be brighter to the ear over the EDX Pro. Your EDX Pro will be more bassy to the ear here. Next, let's compare it to the TFZ Live 3, which really reminds me of the EDX Pro. So if not, you can call this maybe a budget TFZ Live 3. So the Live 3 is maybe $50 in price, and your EDX Pro is $10 in price. And it's really surprising that you're getting really similar graphs here, really similar trends here. So both of them have the similarities in the bass region. So in the mid region, the EDX is maybe 2 dB recessed, and in the top end as well, your EDX is maybe 3 dB more elevated compared to your TFZ. But as you guys can see, both of them have that level top. So not one peak is more compared to the other peak, and also at the bottom as well, you're getting a lot of similarities. So you're getting maybe 5% difference in the tuning here, but the difference in price is maybe 5 times. So pretty good for the EDX to have that kind of tuning. All right, so let's try to close this thing. So for the KZ EDX Pro, who is it for? So this is for those people who's looking for an EDX or MT1 kind of sound, but a bit more bass at the bottom. So this is a slightly better bass version of those two IEMs, and that is more lively as well in the overall presentation. So again, more of a TFZ kind of sound to the ear. So if you're looking for a budget TFZ in a $10 range, this is the pick that you would want. So this is the only one in this price range that has this kind of signature. So the closest one to a TFZ kind of sound that I have seen in the $12, $10 range, and that is definitely a unique selling point. So for me personally, do I like it or not? So for me, yes, I do like it overall. So it's no secret here in this channel that I do like a TFZ kind of sound, and seeing that in the $10 range is really cool for me. So this will go for my personal top 5 in the $10 range. This might replace the Fail Poppy in that top 5, and I'm gonna do a video of that in the future. So I do like also that I have some versatility in the tuning as well. So I did play it with a lot of tracks, and it worked like a charm for me. So for me personally, if I'm looking for more of a fun listen in the $10 range, this is the pick. Of course, in terms of cons, so for some people who is already used to an MT1 or an EDX kind of sound, you might find this a bit too bassy for your needs. And also for those people who's maybe into the CCA CSN kind of sound, this may be a bit too bassy for your needs. And also for the detail retrieval as well, this is not the most detailed. And also on top as well, you still have some thinness in the cymbals here and there. And also sometimes maybe the bass can be a bit too much for some people. So if you're not into that, if the cons are deal breakers for you, this might not be something that you can consider. But otherwise, for the $10 price range, I think it's pretty good in the overall value proposition, especially if you're into a dynamic driver. So for that price range, for the $10 range, this is my favorite KZ for a dynamic driver. So yeah, that's my take with the EDX Pro. So yeah, finally we have a KZ that I like you know, compared to the ADC that we reviewed before. Hopefully in the future we're gonna see more maybe updated tunings from a KZ, and that might be nice for KZ collectors. And it's nice to see that KZ is kind of updating their tunings for their new IMs, and that's pretty promising to see for us what they have in store for us in the future. Of course, if you learned something, leave a like and subscribe for more content like this in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next zpolt video. Goodbye.